Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's Tim here. Today we're going to be looking at Pain by 3 Days Grace, which was their second single off of their album 1X. Remember that all of my song tutorials come with full professional tabs of every section of the song, and it's featured right on screen for you so you don't have to go anywhere and you can follow right along as I break everything down for you. So subscribe, tell me what you want to learn, and let's get rocking. Also, don't forget that this song's in drop D tuning, so grab your low E string and tune it down one whole step to D. The song starts off with a clean guitar, and the first intro riff that we hear is this. So it's quite a slow song, so a lot of you probably aren't going to have a lot of trouble with this. And all that we're really doing is moving one note chromatically down the D string. We start off fretting the 14th fret on the D string with our third finger and the 12th fret on the G string with our first finger. And then we just are ringing the open B and E strings. And the picking pattern stays pretty consistent throughout this. So we pick the D string, the G string, and then up to the high string and back to the B string. So we have a little staggered arpeggiated figure. Okay? And then we drop that note down one fret. So you're going to use your second finger now on the 13th fret of the D string. And then you go up the D string, the G string, and just ring the top two high strings together. So we have this. Now you want to shift your second finger down and refret that the G string with your third finger. So it's the same note that you were holding before, but we just want to shift our fingers so that we can play this nice and we don't get any muddy notes or any chop notes. It makes it smooth and everything can ring really nice. So we move our second finger to the 12th fret of the D string and just refret that G string with our ring finger. And use that same picking pattern that we had before where we hit the D string, the G string, up to the high E string, back to the B. And then we just drop our first finger down onto the 11th fret of the D string and we do the same D, G, and hit the two open strings. So we have this. Okay, and then we come back up to where we started and we repeat that. And now this changes a little bit, just the notes that he hits. We refret exactly what we had, but instead of hitting the B string for our last note, we come back down and hit the G string. So instead of doing this, we actually do this. And then we drop our first finger down to the 11th fret, just like we did before, and we do the D, G, and ring the two high strings together. And then to finish off this little intro section, we drop our finger down one more fret to the 10th fret. And then we just pick these strings apart in a new pattern. So we go the D string, the G string, up to the B string, back to the G string, and then skip up with a string skip up to the high E string. And that's our intro section. And then we get into the next riff, which also functions as the chorus riff, and the distortion kicks in. Here we go. So this is a nice, pretty simple rock riff. Because we're in drop D, we've got this nice one finger power chord that we can grab along the two bottom strings, and that's exactly what we do. We start by barring the two bottom strings at the second fret and hitting that twice. Now, you don't want to just let them ring together, okay? You want to actually make them a little bit shorter by releasing the pressure with your first finger. Okay, not super short. You don't want them like true staccato, but just play along to the album and you'll get it in no time. Okay, so we hit that twice. And then we have this little harmonized line for beat 2, where we're going the second fret, this is on the A string, second fret, third fret, second fret, open. Okay, and now that little figure is harmonized an octave higher by a second guitar. So we're going on the G string. That second guitar would be doing the 4th, 5th, back to the 4th, 2nd. Okay, now on the recording, it's 2 guitars harmonizing, but if you wanted to play that as one guitar, because it doesn't sound exactly like the song just with one or the other being played, it needs both. But if you only have one guitar in your band or you're playing it by yourself, you can play these as octaves. You could do it like that. So you would have to use your pinky up on that high note on the 4th fret, grab the bottom notes with your first finger, and we're just going to slide that shape. And you just want to make sure that your finger's laid over the D string so that that's dead. And then you can strum those 2 notes by themselves. And if your first finger is laying in there properly, you'll have all of the other strings muted off as well, so that you could actually hit all of the 6 strings and you'd only hear that octave being played. And then you'd have to do a shift here to get that last octave shape. And then we're getting into beat 3. Use your pinky, or you could use your 3rd finger, but I use my pinky to grab the power chord along the 5th fret on the 2 bottom strings. So you're barring the 5th fret of the A and E strings, and then releasing that to an open D power chord. Okay, so that measure. And then we just repeat that, but we go up to an A power chord here the second time around, back to our D power chord. And then repeat the 3rd measures exactly like the 1st measure. Here's the trickiest chord, where a little bit of a stretch here. We're hitting our 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, and 7th fret on the G string. Okay, and we're hitting that 4 times. Now, another thing that you can do just to make this chord easier, I like the sound of it on that string set. I believe that's what they were playing on the album. But if you're just wanting to make this song sound like it does, and you're not too concerned with being a purist, you can grab this same chord up here at the 10th fret. Way easier to play, and it sounds virtually the same, but you can bar the 10th fret on the 2 low strings and pop your 3rd finger up on the 12th fret of the D string, and you have the same 3 notes, just way easier to play. And then you release to 2 open D power chords, and then we have that harmonized octave figure again. So if you just want to play 1 note, you can grab these 2 bottom notes of the octave figure, where we're hitting on the D string 4, 4, 5, 4. And then if you wanted to put that octave, the harmonized octave in there, you'd go 7, 8, 7 up on the B string. Put them together. It's a little bit more of a stretch because we've got the B string involved here now. So we have to stretch 1 more fret up than we were before, but so you can grab it with your pinky and just slide that octave shape again. Basically the same technique as we would be using with this lower octave that we were playing though. Okay, so there's our heavy riff. That plays again exactly the same for a repeat for a total of 8 measures. And there's your chorus riff as well as what you hear in the intro. And now we get back into the verse, which is a clean sound again. And it's very, very similar to what we did in the intro. So here it is first, and then we'll discuss it. Okay, like I said, very close to what we did in the intro, just a little different picking pattern is all, but it's still a 2-bar thing, voice leading that note down the D string, and all the fingerings are the same. So we start off with that 14th fret with our 3rd finger on the D string and 12th fret on the G string with our 1st finger. But our picking now for these chords is going to go D string, G string, ring both those 2 high strings together, back to the D string. So we have this. Okay, and we do that on every chord. So the first chord, then we move to that 2nd chord where we drop that note down to our 2nd finger on the 13th fret. Shuffle our fingers so that we've got our 2nd and our 3rd finger, both in the 12th fret. Drop our 1st finger to the 11th fret. Okay, and we just do that 4 times. Okay, we do that 4 times, and then after we've done it 4 times, we just, again, drop our finger down 1 more fret and just hit the 2 strings, the D and the G together. Now it's very important just to hold that for 3 beats. We want to hit that and go 1, 2, 3, 4. We want a dead stop on beat 4 so that when the chorus kicks in again, is nice and huge. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you stop those strings. I do it by just dropping this hand down on the strings and killing it, and then we can get back into the chorus. Now there is one more thing that happens in the verse. There is a second guitar that's overdubbed, and it's just doing a couple of harmonics. So it's just hitting this 12th fret harmonic and then the 7th fret harmonic. Okay, so we just hold each one for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it just repeats those 2 harmonics, and it coincides with the 2 measure rotation that's going on underneath that. So how you get these harmonics is you just lightly place your finger over top of the fret wire. So you want to lightly touch that string and then pluck it, and make sure that you let your finger, you know, bounce off the string. If you hold your finger on the string, it's going to kill it. So pluck it, let that string ring, and again, just lightly touch the over top of the 7th fret wire and let it ring. And we do that 4 times, just like we were playing that other riff in the verse 4 times. And then we drop down and play this for what would be over top of this last measure that we're holding for 3 beats. We play this harmonic 12th fret of the G string. Cut it off so that it's also got that 4th beat of rest on that last measure. And then we're back into the chorus. And we've already covered that chorus in the intro. It's the exact same, it doesn't change. Okay, one more section to go over, and we've got the song. We'll talk about the bridge. So here I'll play it for you, and then we'll talk about the bridge. And it also is very similar to the outro, and then we've got all the parts of the song. So here's the bridge. Okay, I played into the bridge out of that second chorus because the second chorus that leads into the bridge has a 1-bar tag. We do the 8 measure chorus like we've been doing that whole riff that ends with the 8th measure. But we add 1 extra measure in there, a 9th measure that goes. So it's the exact same, except instead of doing that little octave thing on beat 4, we just hit a big D power chord. Okay, so it's basically a D chord, but we don't have to play that high, the highest string. Just lift your second finger and deaden that string. And then since our low string is tuned down to D, we can just hit all of them. Get a nice huge D chord. And then we're into our bridge. And that bridge, again, it's got 2 guitars, so we'll go over both of them. But that main guitar that's really prominent is way up here on the 9th fret of the D string. We've got a B power chord. So we're gonna put our first finger on the 9th fret of the D string and our 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the G string. And then we're going to toggle that 3rd finger with our pinky to get. Okay? And so we hit this pinky 4 times. And then the power chord twice again. So for those of you that can count 16ths, it would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4 and. Maybe a little confusing, but follow along with my picking suggestions in the tab. And that will help you stay in time by keeping a steady 16th note strum pattern going with your hand. Now, now we go down to a C power chord, 3rd fret of the A string, and I play these 3-string power chords here just to get a nice big power chord sound. So you'll put your 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the D string and your pinky up on the 5th fret of the G string. And then we hit that a total of 4 times. Okay, so 1, 2, and a. move that shape up one whole step to the 5th fret. 3, 4, 1, 2, and a 3, 4. And then just repeat that. It's a 2-measure thing again that just repeats for the bridge. And now the second guitar that's in the bridge, that's underneath the more prominent one that you can hear, is just a B power chord again. Okay, it's doing a B power chord down on the A string. So 2nd fret of the A string, and fret the 4th string of the D string, and do the same rhythm. But you don't have to worry about putting your pinky out, okay? And then the other thing is just hitting an open D on the very last 8th note to finish off that measure. Okay, and then we still go up the same 2 power chords for measure 2 there, with the C power chord on the 3rd fret, moving up to the D power chord for beats 3 and 4, and then repeating that. And there's your second guitar. Now that pretty much finishes off the tune. We just have to talk about the very outro, which is the exact same as getting into the bridge, except you're going to put 2 bars of tag on that last chorus. The last chorus again finishes off with that little, octave thing, and then we repeat that final measure twice instead of just once. Okay, you just play that twice, and then you finish off. And I know if you listen closely too, they've even layered up more guitars again. It does have that octave thing going on those final tags as well. So if you can pull that off in your band, go for it. So there's how to play Pain by 3 Days Grace on guitar off of their album 1X. Hope you dug that lesson. If you did, I'll be looking at another one of their hits really soon, The Animal That I've Become. So be sure to subscribe. Let me know what other songs you want to learn, and I'll see you soon.